Добре дојдовте во срцето на Трансилванија. Клуш е областа, а Клуж-Напока главниот град на еден од најбогатите региони во Романија. Денешниот домакин на овој ЕУ караван низ новите земји членки. Во последниве години во најсилен подем се компаниите од информатичката технологија. Бруто домашниот производ по глава на жител изнесува 7200 евра, а искористеноста на европските фондови со над 85 милиони евра реализирани проекти е рекордна во Романија. Просечната плата изнесува 1796 леи, односно нешто над 400 евра. Главен збор во овој град од над 350.000 жители имаат младите, бидејќи се најбројна популација. Кај нас во Македонија, Клуш е најпознат по фудбалскиот клуб докажани на европските терени, а останатите адути на овој град ви ги представува Миле Ристевски.
Градот на европската младина за 2015-тата. Уникатните градби, најголемата ботаничка градина. Клуј-Напока. Вториот град по големина во Романија со над 320.000 жители. Ова е неофицијална престолнина на историската провинција Трансилванија. Овој град е важен академски, културен, индустријски и бизнис центар. Во него има 6 државни и неколку приватни универзитети и представува дом на над 50.000 студенти. Токму поради ова, Клуј е постојано град на младите. Сега се надева дека во 2021-та ќе биде и европски град на културата. Од друга страна, речиси 50.000 унгарци живеат во Клуј-Напока. Градот е дом на втората најголема урбана унгарска заедница во Романија, по Таргу-Мареш, со активен културен и академски живот. Во градот функционира унгарскиот државен театар и опера, но познати се и унгарските истражувачки институции. Низ вековите, Клуј се градел и надградувал, секој оставал трага зад себе. Архитектурата во овој град едноставно плени. Во некогашната престолнина на Трансилванија, Клуж-Напока, изобилуваат архитектонските зданија од некогашното време. Се мешаат ренесансата, барокот, готиката. Современите згради, облакотерите, се градат по 2000-та година. Црквите и катедралите се приказни за себе. Историја. Ќе ја споменам само црквата на Свети Михаил, изградена во готски стил со кула висока 80 метри. Започнала да се гради кон средината на 14 век. Импозантно здание кое го надополнува ликот на Клуј. Од друга страна пак, да дојдете во овој град, никако не смеете да ја заобиколите најголемата ботаничка градина во југоисточна Европа, која содржи над 10.000 растителни видови. Од пустина до тропски растенија и амазонска вода и лијани. Се чини дека градот е во постојана изградба. Како стратешки цели, локалната власт зацртала рехабилитација на урбаната инфраструктура и подобрување на урбаните услуги, рехабилитација на социјалната инфраструктура, подобрување на социјалните услуги и одржлив развој на бизнис средината. Во овој дел пак за истражување и развој, иновации и информатичка технологија, градот добил 82 милиони евра од европските фондови. Неслучајно, Клуј е прогласен 2 години поред за најдобар романски град за живење во 2009 и 2010. Како куриозитет, Клуј-Напока се вбројува меѓу првите градови во светот со најдобра интернет конекција. Всушност, Романија е втора земја по брзината на интернетот.
Оваа зграда зад мене некогаш беше единствената стоковна куќа во Клуш. Денес во градот има многу шопинг центри и молови, а овде е седиштето на невладините организации кои го подготвија и го реализираат проектот Клуш, Европска престолнина на младите во 2015-та. Град како Клуш, во кој речиси 1/3 од вкупниот број жители се студенти, веројатно сосема заслужено ја доби титулата Европска престолнина на младите за 2015 година. Во следните минути разговараме со Диана Апан, портпарол на Европската престолнина на младите. Could you please tell us something more about your organization?
Well, I am proud to be the spokesperson of an organization made up of 37 youth NGOs. This is the organization that is responsible to coordinate the program of the 2015 European Youth Capital. It's a huge responsibility. We are grateful to the City Hall for giving the young people this responsibility. And hopefully we will take this opportunity that we're the Youth Capital of Europe this year to get Cluj known around Europe, to get more people here and to get more support for the youth sector.
What does it mean to be a European Youth Capital? Why is this title so important for you?
It's first and foremost an opportunity, and secondly is a recognition. It's a recognition of the importance of the 100,000 students that are working, living, studying in Cluj, a recognition of the many activities, festivals, programs that we have to young people, dedicated to young people here. And it's also an opportunity for youngsters to put their ideas, to make their ideas a reality. For example, we are very lucky to have a volunteers program that has been that received Norwegian funding, and we will train. We estimate 2,000 volunteers will be trained and will be involved in the European Youth Capital throughout the year. So you have 2,000 young people who will learn more, who will get more experience, and will be able to find a better job after working here. So this is just an example.
Can you tell us something more about your specific relations with the EU? Do you have a good approach to the EU funds?
The European Youth Capital title is in itself a young one, if we compare it to the Culture Capital title. We are proud to have this year to have set up a network of the European Youth Capitals. So we are the 7th Youth Capital. It was Rotterdam, Braga, Maribor, and we want to set up a network that is already functioning, and the executive director of this network is from Cluj-Napoca, to help grow this title and have special EU financing dedicated to the Youth Capital, because right now we have different lines like Youth in Action, for example. We can make a project and apply to a Youth in Action line and get financing, which we did, or the Norwegian funds that I told you earlier. So we have great support from the European Union, from the European Commission. We have, for example, a project in partnership with the Council of Europe that is an international campaign called No Hate Speech. And we did this in February, and it's an international campaign. And the fact that the Council of Europe supported us with materials and promotion, it was a great help to us because it gets more visibility to Cluj-Napoca, and therefore...
Do you facing with some kind of hate speech here in Romania?
Well, the discussion about inclusion, about a better connected community is a continuous one. For example, Cluj is a multicultural city. We have Hungarians, Germans, Romanians, Roma people, many cultures that are living here. And obviously is a continuous effort to be better connected to each other. And the Youth Capital is a great opportunity to do that.
What are the main advantages for the young Romanian people after joining the EU?
Well, I think first and foremost the young people are more aware of what their opportunities are, and the mobility. That's the most important advantages that we hear from the young people we work with, that they can travel to study, they can get to know other cultures, other universities, other programs. So basically being in the European Union helps young people develop much better than before.
Speaking about their professional life, or speaking about their education? Their
education, their professional life. We have many young people who are studying here and going to work abroad, which is a loss for Romania, but this is what the European Union is all about, no? Mobility. However, many of them, they study here, they go abroad to work, but then they come back with experience, with resources, and they try to develop here a business and so on. So it's a dynamic that will surely make the city grow.
How was the picture of the city before 2007, when Romania became a European member?
Young people in Cluj now have a lower unemployment rate than in other cities of Romania. Because yes, we joined the EU, the city hall here has many European programs, European funds that uses for road development, for transportation, for infrastructure. And this matters because you come here to study as a student and you see a city where you can live, where you can build a family, where you can get a job and grow. So it's all a mix of what the local administration decides to do with EU money and its own money, because every EU project has to be co-financed by the yes. Government. And this as an example, the European Youth Capital is a true model for a partnership between the authorities and the civil sector. There are, like I said, there are 37 youth NGOs, and we are in partnership with the City Hall to have this program and to have access to funds and to lines of financing for young people. But also the fact that the city is developing, and therefore people are optimistic. If you will ask on the streets, you will see that people are proud of their city, that they like living here. Oh, they will say this and that could be better, obviously, but they are happy to be here.
Tell me, what are benefits for the young people of Cluj with the title of European Youth Capital?
For the young students here, there are many opportunities where we are better known now. We have more trainings, more possibility to learn from the best, because there are a lot of international companies and people who come here to train us, to teach us new stuff, how developed countries work and developed industries work. And it's a better chance for us to be better, to build a career.
I'm sure there are plenty of opportunities for the youth, and this will probably enlarge the horizon and the possibilities that the youth have here as being citizens of Cluj.
Yes, it is right. It's the European Youth Capital, and I guess a lot of people come here to visit Cluj, and also because there are a lot of opportunities for students, for people, and also for business here, and also for studying, and also for visiting and tourism in Cluj.
There will be more events, probably.
Yes.
Like cultural events, maybe more concerts, because I already saw, like on Facebook, there were a lot of events of electronic concerts, for example.
How many events do you plan in total?
Yes, we have an objective of 1,500. We think this is pretty realistic because we have
3 per day.
Yeah, you could say that it's an average of 3 or 4 per day, but actually we did not think of this way. It's more like one day could be one event and the other day could be 12 events. So in total we hope to get to 1,500 with the help of the community, of course.
Okay, and which are the main events?
The main events?
Yeah.
Well, the
Give
main
us
events.
Details about
yes,
the main events.
The main events are already the festivals that are organized here in Cluj. I think you've heard about Transylvania International Music and Arts Festival, Transylvania International Film Festival, also a lot of other music festivals. But we have our strategic projects organized by Share Federation, and I could give you some examples. A project called Day 15. It's a project that lasts for 12 months, and each month, somewhere near the 15th, we organize a small activity with a message to send to the community, and this activity aims to involve the community in doing something together, and also to reactivate our public space and to show people that a lot of places that we forgot about can be used to I don't know, performances, music, arts, a lot of creativity, a lot of eco activities like planting trees. Another strategic project of ours, it's called Volunteers Academy, where we want to get involved 2,000 volunteers. So far we have about 700 people, young people involved in this program that volunteer to our events. We also have a big festival coming in this summer. Maybe you've heard of Untold Festival. We have a budgetary participatory project where people from the community registered the ideas to make the city better. And after that, there is going to be a voting session where also the community will vote on the ideas that will be implemented this year.
Who are the main guests? Do you invite famous musicians, or film star? Or?
Yes, we do. I could give you some names for the festival. For example, we have the headliners David Guetta and Avicii. We also have names like Patrice or Tiny Tempa or Third Party, a lot of bands that are really popular this period in the world, in the international music scene.
Сабота вечер во Клуш, некаде после полноќ. Се наоѓаме во новата мултифункционална сала што е на чекор до Клуш арената. Вечерва овде се одржува пролетниот фестивал. Неколку илјади млади луѓе ќе се забавуваат до зори и ќе ја прославуваат титулата Европска престолнина на младите за 2015 година. How do you like the nightlife here in Cluj?
The nightlife here in Cluj is very good. As you can see, we have many people here, and it's awesome because we have quality here. Not only just concerts from, I don't know, it's quality music, and that's what I like here.
What else is happening in nightlife here in Cluj?
Wow.
Except festivals?
Yeah, we have many clubs here and different genres of music, not just what you see here. We have from techno to rock, everything, and you can. It depends on what you like, but you can find here any parties you like. It's okay.
You can find jazz too.
I think yes. We have festivals in jazz in the park. If you heard about it, I don't know.
And the people are friendly and open.
Of course. I don't know if you heard it, but it was some research here, and they said that Cluj is one of the friendliest cities in Europe.
It's really awesome. First of all, there are many students, and that brings a lot of parties and festivals and concerts. Awesome.
What is the special thing for nightlife here?
The special thing are first of all the main events for the main bars from the center of Cluj, and after that the summer festivals and events.
Yes, I do love this kind of festivals. I actually love Electric Castle, and I'm a fan of Electric Castle, so I'm going to all of their concerts and all of the shows and festivals they organize.
Кога станува збор за модата и новите трендови, Клуш е доследен. Како за ноќниот живот, така и за постигнувањата во науката и техниката. Се наоѓаме во така нареченото глуво диско. Овде нема гласна музика, но луѓето танцуваат. Сите тие на слушалки слушаат иста музика. Земјоделството е секторот кој најмногу профитира од членството на Романија во Европската Унија. Најдобра потврда за ова даде статистиката во минатата година. 2014-та е прва во која вредноста на извезените земјоделски стоки е поголема од увозот. Сега во зградата на Министерството за земјоделство и регионален развој ќе ги слушнеме и останатите придобивки за романскиот аграр.
Разговараме со господинот Михаил Херцију, одговорен за распределба на европската помош во Министерството за земјоделство и регионален развој. Mr. Herciu, tell us please what are the main benefits for Romania from the EU accession?
First of all, I want to thank you for your visit and your interest about general overview about the European Union and especially for agricultural funds for rural development. The special or the real benefits of the investments financially supported by European Union, I can mention the transfer of new technologies, we need it, and know-how, and in the same time managerial and marketing skills of the people, of the farmers in the agriculture. And starting with this week, I can mention also the new jobs in rural areas due to the new investment. By transition from agricultural as principal activity to diversified activities in the sector. Another benefit I can mention is also linked with the increased productivity of the farmers and also for quality of products, but in the same time better services in the area. And not the last but the same important is a better local infrastructure, both educational and health services, because developing local infrastructure we can aim and target a better quality of life in rural areas.
Is now 7 years after the accession, Romanian agriculture modernized and developed on the European level?
Yes, you are right. And 7 years of a very useful exercise. In fact, before the accession, we benefited about a pre-accession program, the name was SAPARD program for accession countries, and the SAPARD program was developed starting with 2000 up to 2006, and starting with 2007 was a new, in fact the current rural development program 2007-2013, and now we are ready to start the next rural development program from 2014 to 2020.
Some analysis says that the big agriculture companies benefit from the EU accession are part of the individual farmers.
Yes, it is a kind of dispute. I cannot agree with it because each one has their own places in the agricultural. The big farms, of course, they benefit from a financial point of view. They renew the equipment, the technologies, and can have good productivities. But of the same importance, we aim also the small farmers in Romania. So this kind of dispute has nothing to do with the general principle of financial support from the EU.
We have to see what is the dimension of an average farm in Romania. An average farm in Romania is 2.5 hectares still. So there are a lot of small farms, and they're like 500 big farms, very big farms. Those big farms, as we see and as they show us, they have the mechanization, they have the production, they have everything. The small farms, because they didn't access funds as well, because they didn't have the chance, they could not modernize. You know? So this is one problem which we see. So of course we need policies which equal this balance, this modernization. Not just to give money to the big guys because they already have a lot of money, but also support the small guys to become more competitive, right? I'm just going to give one example, okay? 50% of the European subsidies from the year 2007 to 2013 were given to 1% of the Romanian farmers. Sorry. So 50% to 1%. And this could be seen in other Eastern European countries also. So this has to be changed. Yeah? And this is changing slowly with the new Common Agricultural Policy.
According to your opinion, are the Romanian farmers and peasants especially aware about the benefits of the European Union membership of Romania?
Yes, because at least we made big efforts during implementing such programs to have also information and communication projects to share a lot of information with the stakeholders within the country, all over the country, mainly to inform the farmers about the benefits of using EU money.
What is your relations with EU? Do you use their funds for support your business?
Of course, our funding as an association is diversified. We use EU funding. Also, we have two major EU projects. One in the domain of access to land. So we are trying to facilitate the debate, the discussion on access to land for young farmers, especially agroecological farmers. Other EU projects which we develop with other partners from the European Union are also in the concept of food sovereignty and food security, and also trying to create a debate on a European level regarding access to land, again, access to seeds and access to markets, these three pylons which any farmer needs to be prosperous.
Could Romanian farmers be satisfied from the efficiency of using EU funds? You mentioned some kind of 80-90% of realized projects.
Yes, the farmers they are satisfied because they consider financial support a very good one and very well received, because by financial support they can develop useful projects for agriculture activities. No importance if they are dealing with agricultural holdings or processing units. Both categories could benefit with financial support from the EU, in line also with their main interest, namely to become more competitive on the EU markets.
What about the price of the land and the way that you deal with the land?
Land from our point of view is priceless, right? Because that's not just an interface, it's a living being where agriculturalists, farmers are doing their business and their lifestyle, right? They provide food. So basically it's a very important element of agriculture. Studying the markets, the land markets all over the EU, we see a huge discrepancy between Eastern EU and Western EU. While the average price of 1 hectare of land in Denmark, let's say, is almost 40,000 euros, in Romania the average price of the land per hectare is 4,000 euros. So of course that this inequality creates these market imbalances. While investors from Denmark they don't really see the benefit to invest their money into their saturated land markets. They would rather use European markets from Eastern Europe to buy land because it's cheaper. And this creates a form of inequality because most of the Romanian peasants are not prepared for this wave of investors. This is one critique which we could bring.
Mm-hmm. What about the products, agricultural products? They finish on the domestic market or you export on the European markets?
This is a huge debate. This is one thing which we bring as a critic again. Like when we see big farmers produce, big companies produce, mostly we see that they produce and then they take it to Constanța, to the port, and they take it on the international markets, or they take it out from Timișoara to the west and they take it to the Western European markets. So basically what we observed, especially in the big farms, is that most of the production is being exported. Some of the big players are also supplying food for Romania, but mostly we see that the incentive is to export because the price is global and it's higher if you take it out. And then, paradoxically, many of the products are coming back to Romania as finished products. Yeah, I'm going to give you one example: the organic sector, right, of Romania. It's beautiful. It's blooming a lot, and this is partly because of the EU, because EU was offering a lot of support to also develop organic agriculture, and this is a great thing. But most of the organic production is primary production, which is going out, exported out from the country, then processed into manufactured goods, and then it comes back on a triple or quadruple price. So this is still a problem.
Млад земјоделец од околината на Клуш обработувал 100 хектари насадени со житарки, но преку фондовите на Европската Унија успеал да го прошири своето производство на 450 хектари, на кои покрај житарките насадил соја, репка, цвекли. Ова е само еден од многуте примери за успешност во земјоделството, односно во руралниот развој, со проекти и пари од големото европско семејство. Строго наменски пари за заедничка земјоделска политика Романија ќе добие 17,5 милиарди евра до 2020-та, што е за 27% повеќе од периодот 2007-2013. Романија интензивно го развива сточарството и земјоделството во земјата. Во период за 7 години до 2020-та, државата ќе добие 8,5 милиарди евра од Европската Унија за рурален развој. Имајќи предвид дека земјата има богатство од природни ресурси, значајна сума на пари ќе добие и за развој на риболовот. Сепак, од останатите земји членки на Европската Унија, Романија има најниска стапка на раст во земјоделството од само 0,1%. Или споредбено, просечната големина на земјоделска површина или фарма во Романија е 3,4 хектари и е за 4 пати помала од европскиот просек. Од друга страна, се повеќе расте и бројот на производители на органска храна во Романија. Во моментов во земјата има над 16,000 органски производители. До 2020-та, со политиките на Европската Унија, се очекува овој број да е многу поголем, а органска храна да се одгледува на 2 милиони хектари. Треба да се напомене дека сега сепак побарувачката е поголема од производството на органска храна. Вложувањата во руралниот развој, кој веќе има напредок, е со цел намалување на невработеноста, развој на зелената економија во ефикасно користење на ресурсите, како и промоција на претприемаштвото. До крајот на 2013-та со помош на европските фондови биле поддржани 1259 земјоделски стопанства, но и близу 13,000 млади фармери биле поттикнати да го развиваат своето производство. Тоа кон што тежна е земјата е повеќе инвестиции во примарната преработка на производите и усогласување на производите со европските стандарди, но и да се исполнат очекувањата на потрошувачот европеец. Иако прави скромен придонес во Романија, рибарството и аквакултурата се присутни во сите региони преку преработка и трговија со риба, особено по делтата на Дунав. Риболовот е важен извор на вработување и приходи за локалното население.
Does Romanian people eat healthy food?
No, I think no.
Why?
Because we like fast foods and
I eat mostly all the vegetables. I buy them from the local grocery store. The people from the village.
most of the time, yes, I do. But since we are students, we don't have as money as we should, and thus we eat in fast foods or.
It depends. I don't have time to cook, so I used to make something really fast, like some pasta or maybe some vegetables with some meat, and that's it.
Most of them it's junk food, or I don't know. I personally eat as healthy as possible.
We care very much what we eat, because if we don't eat what we must eat, our cells will not reconstruct so well. And it will be many possibilities for us to get ill.
Can you tell me something more about the agriculture in Romania?
Agriculture,
because you are familiar with in this sector.
Of course, as being a farmers association, a peasants association, we have to see the agricultural scenery in Romania. In Romania, currently agriculture is a very dualistic viewpoint. At one point we have the large farmers, the big farmers of Romania, which are on high hectares and mostly producing crops for the export market. And on the other hand, we have almost 5 million peasants, small-scale farmers, which produce primarily for their own consumption and secondary for the local market. And they produce the diversified products of Romania, which you can find from vegetables to crops. Yeah? So this is the dualism of the Romanian agriculture. Of course, under the European Union, both of them have the chance to access money. Both of them have the chance to access subsidies. Now it does depend on a local government, how do they resolve this giving of the money.
Which region in Romania is most developed and most potential for agriculture?
We have, let's say, almost generally speaking, the same level, developed level of the activities in agriculture. But there are some examples on the west part of the country, but also in the south, speaking from agricultural point of view, from production and activities from farms, and but also in the east side of the country, because agricultural land in Romania is proportionately spread all over the country.
Is the productivity growing faster now when since Romania became a European member state?
One of the first effect is increasing the productivity of the product agricultural, but of course not to some extent that we wish. We have to work a lot on this subject, namely to raise the productivity of the agricultural products.
Could you give us some numbers? What happened with the prices, with the areas after 2007?
The food prices you mean, or the
yes,
products? The food products, they are not. It's not like in a tender system. It's a free market, and the prices depends on the supplying. Not only they are not based only on domestic production, but also the food prices, they are influenced by the imports.
Во Клуж-Напока е лесно човек да се чувствува млад. Тоа веројатно се должи на фактот што душата на градот ја сочинуваат 100.000 студенти кои овде на еден од 11 универзитети го стекнуваат своето образование. Имајќи ги предвид сите адути на ова место, не е тешко да се заклучи дека Клуж е моторот на модерна европска Романија. Довидување во наредниот EU Караван низ новите земји членки.